What's up, good people? How you guys doing? So, it's that time of the year for football fans to start laying out predictions. And mostly they come in the form of schedule predictions, win-loss predictions, Super Bowl predictions, playoff seeding predictions, division predictions. We're going to do all that. We're going to do that. It's happening, of course. I am going to do a final updated schedule prediction for 2022. But before we get there, I want to do some other predictions as well. I want to do some Seahawks predictions that aren't directly tied to just winning and losing. And I know that's what we care about. But in a year like this, it matters just a little bit less, I think. In a year like 2021, you really wanted to pile up those wins, and it was really sad when you didn't. In a year like this, I think there's already kind of an understanding that wins are going to be maybe a little bit hard to come by. So, in this video, I'm going to lay down some predictions for individual players and what I expect to see from them this season. And what we see from them may help shape what we get from the team not only this year, but the way in which we build the team in 2023 and beyond. So I'm going to lay down 8 total predictions. We're going to do 3 on offense, 3 on defense, 2 on special teams. Just kind of random stuff that I think is going to happen this year. Some of it's bold, some of it might be more obvious. Depends on who you ask, right? And 5 of these predictions are going to be in the positive, and 3 are going to be in the negative. Some of them are going to be slightly abstract, because sometimes whether or not a player is doing his job can be a little abstract when it comes to certain players at certain positions. So try to keep an open mind. Try to understand that things are a little more complex than just saying this stat, this number. It's a mosaic of things that form whether or not a player is doing well or not. So we're going to try to lead and end with a positive. So I'm going to start with the offense. I'm going to open with a positive prediction, and I'm going to close with a positive one, meaning the negative one is in the middle. And we'll do the same for defense. For special teams, we'll open with the negative so we can close on a positive, because you want to be closing on a positive. I think we can all understand that, right? So, let's go. Prediction number 1. This is on offense, and this is the positive. Rashad Penny and Kenneth Walker III will both have over 1,000 yards from scrimmage. This one's already off to a little bit of a rough start, with Kenneth Walker getting that hernia injury, but I still think he can do it. Now, keep in mind, there are 17 games now in the regular season, so getting to 1,000 yards from scrimmage, that's less than 60 yards a game, right? Penny and Walker are both probably going to have plays this year that are more than 60 yards by themselves. So it's not as hard as it sounds to get to 1,000 yards from scrimmage anymore, but getting 2 running backs on your team over 1,000 means something. It tells you that Rashad Penny is good and adding value and is going to net a nice compensatory pick, and it also tells you that Kenneth Walker III is ready to swoop in and be the heir apparent to the backfield when Penny almost certainly moves on in 2023. So obviously we're going to need health to cooperate in 2022 for these guys to do it. But I'm going to say even if they both miss a couple games, they're both going to do it. So there you go. Rashad Penny and Kenneth Walker III will both have over 1,000 yards from scrimmage. That's rushing plus receiving, by the way. All right, next offensive prediction. This is the negative one. This is the one that is not something that we want. Damian Lewis continues to struggle at left guard and ends up with sub-average play. I wrote this one before he got hurt, and I thought I was going to have to immediately scrap it. But now he's supposedly going to be back quite soon, so we still should have at least most of the season to evaluate him. I didn't mind what I saw from Damian Lewis in the preseason, but we didn't see a lot. And I just don't think stylistically he fits. Not at left guard anyway. At right guard, it's at least a little more amenable. It's still not perfect because it's the Rams offense basically we're running. But I do think that Damian Lewis will end up playing sub-average. Now, what constitutes that? It's going to be a few different things. It's going to be the eye test. It's going to be PFF. It's going to be stats like sacks allowed. It's going to be our success running the ball behind him compared to running on the other side. So there are going to be a few things that go into this. But I'm going to say that Damian Lewis will continue to struggle at left guard and ends up with a sub-average season at that position. That is my negative prediction for the offense. And our third and final prediction for the offense, Will Dissly will set career highs in receptions, receiving yards, and receiving touchdowns. Now, that doesn't mean a whole heck of a lot. He hasn't had a big season in the NFL yet. It wouldn't take a ton for him to get there. I don't think he's going to shatter the record by some massive amount. I think you are still looking at a tight end 2. I think he's clearly a number 2 to Noah Fant. So I think you're looking at something in the realm of like 32 catches, 380 yards, and he's pretty good in the red zone, so I'll say something like 6 touchdowns, but it's not going to be anything that makes us feel like we got to steal with that contract, but it's going to be good. It's going to be good. We're going to feel like, hey, this isn't so bad. He's a good backup tight end. He's a good blocker as well. And he provides a nice safety valve on the offense. I think that at the very least we'll be able to say that. So Will Dissly sets a career high in 3 categories: receptions, receiving yards, and receiving touchdowns. Not a monster season, but a good season. All right, that's the offense. I feel pretty good about those 3. Now let's move on over to the defense, where we have the same setup: 2 positives and a negative. First positive. Darrell Taylor will record at least 12 sacks. I wanted to go 15, but then I thought, how many pass attempts are we going to be facing this year with our offense? Because I don't think the offense is going to be able to score a ton. So teams might be running the ball more against us than usual. Less opportunities for Taylor to pin his ears back and go after the quarterback. So I couldn't go to like 15, but I think he gets to 12. I think he's good enough to do it. It wasn't a great preseason for him, but it was a very small sample size. A lot of his struggles came from just missing tackles, which that's understandable in the preseason because you're not tackling in camp. So I think Taylor is in for that big breakout year. I think that the only reason why he doesn't get to like 15, I do believe he is or will be a 15 sack a year player, is because I don't know how many pass attempts we're going to face. He's got to be playing against the run. He's got to be doing that stuff as well because we're going to be playing from behind some this year. It is what it is. So Darrell Taylor will record at least 12 sacks. That is my first positive defensive prediction. Really like him. Think he's amped up for a big season. He needs to play a little more under control sometimes, but I'm willing to live with a little bit of that. I'm willing to live with a little bit of out of control. So hopefully it develops to a good place, but I say 12 sacks, and I feel pretty good about that. Okay, defensive prediction number 2. This is the negative one. Cody Barton struggles in run defense. I'm not going to give you any numbers. I'm not going to give you any individual stats for Cody Barton, but I'm going to say he struggles in run defense. And as an effect of that, our run defense is going to give up 4.5 yards per carry or more. Last 2 years, we've had one of the best run defenses in the league, below 4 yards a carry. I was all for the release of Bobby Wagner. I thought it was the right thing to do, but that doesn't change the fact that he was effective playing against the run, and losing him means you lose something there. And we are going to feel it, especially with a guy like Cody Barton replacing him. So I'm going to say the run defense in 2022 takes a significant step back from where it was the last 2 years, and we're giving up about 4.5 yards a carry. And look, Obviously, that reflects more than just Cody Barton, right? I think we all understand that. That reflects on the defensive line as well. That reflects on Brooks as well. And, you know, I like Brooks. I'm not saying anything bad about Brooks, but I look at Cody Barton and I do see a weak link. I look at him and I say, if we are bad on run defense, he's going to be the key reason why. So I think our run defense drops off more towards league average territory this year. Final defensive prediction, number 3. This one's going to be abstract as all get out, but hopefully you guys can hang with me here. Jamal Adams will be back to form, playing at a Pro Bowl level across most or all metrics. And what do I mean by that? It's hard to encapsulate using one or even a few stats whether or not a safety is good, right? You can't look at tackles. That could mean many different things if your safety has a lot of tackles. Sometimes it's bad. It's really bad. It's not going to be sacks. It's not going to be pressures. It's not going to be interceptions or passes defensed or coverage metrics or PFF grade. It's going to be all these things combined into one painting that paints the picture of how that player is doing. You can't just use 1 or 2 or 3 of those things. You've got to use all these different things combined with your eyes, combined with the overall performance of the defense to tell you what Jamal Adams is doing. So I'm going to say whether or not he gets the credit for it, whether or not it's reflected in every single number, Jamal Adams is going to be back at a Pro Bowl level in 2022. We're going to see him make some big plays. We're going to see him play good from snap to snap. He's going to look better in this new defense. And while it may not happen from day one because of the fact that the defense is new, I think Jamal Adams is going to have a much better year, and I think that we're going to feel better about him. Okay, now we move on to special teams. And there really isn't a whole lot you can do here, but nevertheless, let's start with the negative. Jason Myers has a below average year kicking field goals and extra points. Short and sweet, very simple. Whatever league average is this year as a kicker, Myers will be below it. And we end up regretting not moving on when we had the chance. I'm not going to say he's going to be the worst or the 3rd worst or the 7th worst. I'm not going to get into that. But what I am going to say is that he's not going to earn his money. He's going to be below average, kicking field goals overall. Again, no exact numbers here. I'm not even going to pretend that I can get close to something like that. But whatever league average is this year for a kicker, I say he falls below it. And our final prediction for this video, number 2 on special teams and number 8 overall, Michael Dickson will lead the NFL in percentage of punts to end up inside the 20-yard line. You look at some stats for a punter like punt yards, average punt yards, downed inside 20, total number of punts, etc., etc. It's hard to know if they're good, right? Like, you could, if you lead the league in punting yards, in punt attempts, that doesn't necessarily mean you're good. That just means your offense is terrible. By the way, that might happen. But I wanted to find a stat that actually encapsulated how good Dickson is. I think he led the league in punt percentage to end up inside the 20 last year. I think he does it again. And I think we end up feeling like he's the best punter in the league by the end of the season. And I think the whole league will pretty much agree that he's at least top 3. Maybe he gets that all-pro nod, maybe not. He's obviously going to punt a decent amount because our offense is not going to be anything spectacular. But I do think that he will have a great year punting. High percentage of punts end up inside the 20. And that's going to basically fill it for me. There are a lot of different players and a lot of different aspects of this team I don't feel comfortable predicting, like the cornerback stuff, right? How am I going to know? I don't even know who our cornerbacks are going to be as the season goes on. There's probably going to be a lot of swapping in and out. There's probably going to be a lot of different experiments there. I don't know how much anyone's going to play. Things like wide receivers are hard to predict because we don't know how they're going to play with Geno necessarily. But these 8 things I feel good enough about to at least put my hat out there, put my neck out on the line. So let me know what you guys think. Do you think any of these are going to come true? Do you have any of your own? Post it down below. We'll see who hits. There will be more predictions later, but for now, those are some of my favorites. Peace out. Go Hawks. See you guys later.